The set of images and video that you just saw were captured in New Boston, Ohio, with the alien craft seen heading to the southwest. Crossing over the Scioto River towards Kentucky, it was recorded by Thomas S., a local of New Boston, with the images snapped by his 17-year-old son. And Christopher, on the night of October 24th, we were informed of the sighting by one of our viewers, who was actually acquainted with the sources of the footage, who was originally shown the video in images and was given permission to share it with us and to, in turn, share it with all of you guys. The reason that I'm calling this an alien aircraft rather than simply a UFO is because when you look at this thing up close, not only in the video footage but in the photos, specifically the first image in which the source captured the ship going almost directly overhead, and a stunning detail where we can see the true structural characteristics of the ship. And guys, you take a look at this thing and you tell me with a straight face that this has anything to do with some humans down here on Earth. You tell me that some John Doe was down there at some point with his wrench and his power drill, constructing something as magnificent and alien-looking as this. And for what purpose it even looks alien? These features on the thing doesn't even make sense. When thinking of what utility these features would serve, a human set of pilots, or one pilot in general, for that matter. It is also worth noting that some sources of this footage got their vehicle to leave the restaurant from which they had came and just had exited when the craft came slowly and silently, violently creeping from over the eastern hills. So what they described as two military helicopters soaring overhead past them as they drove on the local Highway 54, going to the opposite side as they headed home. The helicopters, in which were heading in the exact flight path and direction of the craft, had just passed by about 5 minutes earlier. Now, due to the fact they were on the highway and also heading in the opposite direction, it was practically impossible for them to get out of their phones in time to catch the helicopters, especially with the speed they were flying past. The father and son both described this craft as silent, eerily silent, they also pointed out, which you can also see in the video footage, that one point that as the craft is almost disappearing into the horizon, you can see two distinct flashes of light appearing on either side of the craft, but not touching the craft. You can see those lights in the clip here. Now here's where things get very interesting. If you will remember, we posted a video a couple weeks ago of what looks to be a massive TR-3B style triangular craft caught hiding in the night skies, caught by a man while on his back porch who had just happened to be out back for a smoke at around midnight. And in what footage we can see a set of lights flash similarly to what we see here on this outside of the craft. These lights do not touch the craft in both videos and flicker on the outside of the craft. In the same way, within both of the sightings, the footage of the craft is what you're seeing here. So here we have this sighting and a craft with what looked like rows of windows, chamber glowing lights, In other characteristics, they simply don't jive with anything you would imagine here on Earth, and frankly, if you can honestly look at this thing and convince yourself that, hey, yeah, it's just one of ours, not a big deal. I think that's very realistic, and well, yeah, that's just unrealistic, to be honest. Stunt sources of this footage got their vehicle to leave the restaurant from which they had came and just had exited when the craft came slowly and silently, violently creeping from over the eastern hills.